Welcome to episode 16 of Conversations with Women Living Well After 50. What does living well after retirement and into your 60s and beyond mean to you? There are many options today for those who want to transition from a full-time career to having the time to enjoy life more. However, sometimes we might be in a position where we don't have a plan. It might not work out the way we want to, or we just don't have enough finances to help us enjoy the little extras in life. My guest today in conversation discusses her own experience with me, what she did to earn extra income and yet still have time for fun. And we also discuss time freedom, what that means and why it can be sometimes viewed as a double-edged sword. Gina Hartzein is a busy semi-retired mum and Grammy who's barreling towards 55 at an alarming rate. Not wanting to slow down after retirement from her day job, she started as a consultant with a company whose focus is on helping women to look and feel beautiful and confident. Gina enjoys teaching tips and tricks about taking care of your skin, especially as we become women of a certain age, and also has fun makeup tricks to help you enhance your look, regardless of how much makeup you typically wear. She loves to encourage women to chase their dreams and to remind them that we are never too old to do anything. Gina decided that she wasn't going to just sit on the sidelines during this time of life and is pursuing fun and fulfillment by helping other women do the same. Her new focus is her business, Image with Heart, a course that will help and encourage women over 55 to love the person they see in the mirror. So let's go and join the conversation. Well, welcome, Gina, and it's lovely to have you join me in conversation today.
Thank you, Sue, so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here, I have to say. And I also have to tell you that you are my very first podcast. So I'm super excited to be here today because of that.
Well, that is exciting, isn't it? I actually did my first podcast as a guest last week, so that was pretty exciting as well. So I was on the other side of the microphone for a change.
Yes, that would be a little different for you.
Yeah, yes. So what we're going to talk about is retirement and how we, how all of us cope with that and the different things that we do. So I wanted to ask you, how long have you been retired? I know you're semi-retired, but when did you decide to leave work? And did you have a plan in place when you left work?
So I had decided, kind of made the final decision probably about 6 months before I actually formally retired. And that was a little over 3 years ago. And, I really didn't have much of a plan in place. I really, especially at first, I really kind of flew by the seat of my pants, which is really something that I've been doing all my life. And I will say that I highly don't recommend that. Flying by the seat of your pants a lot of times really is not a good way to go through life. But, I approached retirement just like I did with the rest of my life. And, one of the biggest draws to me was, not having to listen to that alarm, I think,
Mm.
being able to sleep in and having that choice. And every day is a Saturday, right?
Well, it
Every day is a
is.
Saturday. You're off work that day. You're off work the next day, so it almost just feels like a Saturday. And so for a while there, it was just like, okay, I need to, let's get a little bit of a grip here. I need to have some kind of a plan. And started tackling some projects that we never seem to find the time when we're working full time. So that was kind of my initial approach, so to speak.
Yes, it can become a little bit like Groundhog Day, can't it? And I know myself, I wasn't prepared for retirement. My husband, is older than me, and he had retired, and he kept saying, come on. And when I was where I was working at the time, it wasn't a great environment, and a few other issues sort of pushed me towards, oh, okay, I'll retire. But I was only 57 at the time, so in 6 months I was sort of going around the twist. I didn't really know what I was doing. And that brings me to a point that you made in an earlier conversation we had, that we might have this freedom when we retire. Everyone says, oh, you'll have all this time on your hands, you'll be able to do whatever you want. But, you know, we're not determined by schedules or the alarm clock, as you say. But that time freedom can have the effect of a double-edged sword, can't it? And I wondered what you meant by that. I think I understand it, but I'd love you to give me your take on that.
Oh, you bet. Yes, definitely. I had a friend that had been retired for a couple of years anyway before me, and she said, you know, retirement is not going to be what you expect. And I thought, well, yeah, you know, but I'm kind of expecting, you know, what I think it's going to look like. And, you know, it's so funny because it really, in a lot of ways, is not what you expected that it's going to look like. And that time schedule, as opposed to time freedom, really was a double-edged sword, because you think, oh, you know, we're so used to our schedules. You know, we have the schedule, you know, our work schedule that's set out for us. And then really our free time almost is all scheduled too, because we have to work in on the weekends our, you know, our hair appointments or our manicures or, you know, our shopping. Everything has to be scheduled out. And then all of a sudden you have nothing. This, you know, this just black hole of time that happens. And so that's where the double-edged sword came in, because you really can find yourself just kind of floundering from day to day, kind of like you said, the Groundhog Day. It's like the same day you have, you know, hours, days, weeks to do these things that you used to have to be so committed and so, you know, on task to get them done. And so I really did find myself that a lot of times that the days just really flew by with nothing to show for it. So um, I really felt like that was a little bit of a double-edged sword, that not having the schedule.
That's right. And you can easily fall into the trap of, oh, well, I've got all this time on my hands, I can do that later. And then you start procrastinating, and you know, you just can become, it's all about the mindset, really, isn't it? Because you can become to the point where you just don't feel like doing anything, and then that can lead to feeling down or depressed, because your time is it's just rolling on, and you don't feel like you've got any purpose there. And to me, having a purpose, and I've spoken about this with other guests on the show, having that purpose in life, to get up out of bed every day. Sure, you mightn't have to get up as early, you know, you can have the luxury of perhaps staying in bed for a bit longer, but you need that purpose every day to get up and to achieve. And of course, then you can go the other way, and which I've been guilty of, and try to fill in your time with everything, just to say you're doing something. And even for many of us over the last 6 months with COVID-19, that's been another issue as well, because our time, our freedom to go out, we've been in isolation, and we've had to find things to fill our days while we've been in you know, having to stay at home. And I think that is another example of how difficult it is when you go off schedule and you've got this endless time, which might seem attractive in the beginning, but after a few days you're getting a little bit tired of it.
I
So I
totally
wondered,
agree with all that. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So what was the answer for you? How did you find that balance where you were feeling fulfilled, you had purpose, but you also had time for yourself? Because we don't want it to go from one extreme to the other. So how did you cope with that?
Exactly. And just, having a balance in our life, regardless of whether we still are working or we're retired, you touched on that, is so important. And having a why to get up to every day, regardless of whether we're working or we're retired or semi-retired or what have you. That's all, just kind of part of our general health that we need, I
Mm,
think, in our lives. And probably as women more so, and now even more so because of COVID, like you mentioned. We just it's hard to be as connected as we could and were before COVID. So I think that having that balance is so much more important. And what I have found for me is that I have got into a little bit of a routine in the morning where I start my day with a little bit of affirmations, a little bit of positivity, perhaps some motivational, YouTube. I have lots of reading that I can do for, some uplifting thoughts for the day. Trying to set intentions for the day is another great way to start the day, and including a little bit of exercise in that too. But I try to just have just kind of this set morning, and I really think that it helps set the tone for the rest of the day.
yeah.
And being retired as I am, I definitely have time for that part of it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And it's good to have what I call the morning ritual. And that helps you because you're doing something similar every morning. It's starting off your day. And as you say, it really helps you set you up for the day that you're going to have. And it does,
Mm-hmm.
get you off to a positive start and you feel like you've done something and you're ready to take on the day. So,
Exactly.
what do you do if you find that you overcommit yourself? How do you change that? I know last week I looked at my diary and it was so full, and then I became overwhelmed because I just thought, yeah, I've overcommitted myself, and some of the things I didn't even really want to do. So I had to change that. So what do you do if you find that you get that balance out of life's not quite
You
balanced?
know, once again, I think that that is something as women we tend to do, depending on our personality types. I'm what's called an obliger. And so that's also can be described as a people pleaser. So that's hard for us when somebody is asking for a favor or you want to do so much. I'm that kind of person too. I want to do it all. And I just really have found that, I just have to just say no. And a lot of times sometimes it's saying no to me, and that's even the harder part. And when you have to start saying no to yourself, I think then that you've really reached that capacity that you really need to, step back and really take a look at what your priorities are. And I think that looking at, once again, that kind of why you get out of bed in the morning can filter into everything that you do throughout the day. And so, looking at a schedule when it gets too full is like, is this really, working towards my why in life?
Yeah, that's a good point. And what you mentioned about saying no to me, what do you mean by that? Saying no, you can't do things that you want to because you've overcommitted in some other areas, or?
Exactly. Yes. And so what happens when you say yes to something, because, there's always an equal and opposite, I can't remember the exact quote. It's not action, but it's something similar to that. So when you're saying yes to something, then you automatically are saying no to something else. So when you're saying yes to all these things that you're overcommitting, you are definitely saying no to yourself.
I love that. I think that's something that we don't really think about, do we? Because uh, we are important, and it comes back to that self-care, which we talk about all the time. And we've just got to find that balance. And
Exactly.
I think we have to be honest with ourselves. And I'm like you, I go at everything at 110%. And I think that the other thing is that I think we're always raising the bar on our own performance rather than other people's. We expect more of ourselves than what we do of others. So I think that helps to get us out of balance as well, because we're just trying to keep raising that bar for ourselves all the time.
Exactly. And we're always hardest on ourselves, when we don't meet that bar. And yes, I mean, we could talk for days on that, right?
Well, that's another topic, and you are going to be a regular on the show, so we will earmark that for a future topic, and I'm looking
So
forward to
excited
that.
to hear that too. Yes, this will be so much fun.
Yeah. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? So I want you to tell me a little bit about your business, because you retired, but then obviously you thought, oh, this isn't enough for me. And you've got a business, Image with Heart. Tell me a little bit about that and how you got into it and what it's about.
So that is a little bit of a spin-off from the company that I started with. Really, it was really close to when I retired. I decided we kind of stumbled on this company that's called Limelife by Alcone, and they are based in New York City. They have all natural organic skincare and professional makeup. They've been a professional beauty brand in New York for 65 years. And this company is actually a network marketing company. And it is, I think, a great way for retirees to be able to supplement their income. And so that was where I kind of started with that company. You still have your time freedom. That's the best part of anybody that is looking at something that's supplementing their income a little bit. They want some interaction with women. They want that connection. I found that a lot of what we get, I think, from work is that connection with other people. And once we retire, we don't have that. We say, oh, we're going to keep up those friendships, but you lose that connection because you don't have the workplace topics. Your co-workers or former co-workers, they're still working every day. They don't have the freedom. They're still on that, I've got to get all this stuff done on the weekend because I don't have time to do it. I don't have time to meet with you who has time, in the world. And so it allowed me to still have some connection with women and helping women feel beautiful, help them feel more empowered. And I just loved the part of really helping to uplift women. And I feel as we age, a lot of times we look in the mirror and maybe we're not as happy with ourselves as we once were. We still have such, I think, a society that still, portrays the younger woman as being, the one that everybody wants to be like, rather than all of us with our amazing wisdom and experience and, the experience that's all over our face, right? And so doing that with women, aside from, a little bit of skincare and makeup too, to help them feel more beautiful, just the part of uplifting them and tips and tricks to just help you get through a day maybe when you're not feeling so beautiful, and really learning to love who you see in the mirror again. And I really felt like there was a need for that in our world. And so that's where I am starting with Image with Heart to develop some little courses for women and to help them learn to love who they see in the mirror again.
That's beautiful, isn't it? Because we do. I mean, as you get older, I think that's the other thing with retirement too. Sometimes you can fall into a bit of a rut. If you've got to get up and get dressed and go off to work, you are taking more care of yourself. And then, of course, you don't have to. You can just stay at home in your track pants and not worry about what you look like. But and I do think that beauty does come from within. We know that. But also I think with self-confidence, we need to love who we are on the inside, but also on the outside as well. And that's keeping healthy, it's keeping active, and yes, it's looking after yourself, and to get the complete package, because we do need that self-confidence, which I think a lot of us lose when we retire as well, because we don't feel as valid anymore. And I think you made that good point about, the connection. It is true. If you leave work, you don't really have as much in common anymore with those people. So it can be difficult. And then it's difficult to make friendships later in life as well. So how does your the company that you started with, how does that work? Is it multi-level marketing? Because of course, as soon as you say that, people go, oh, I don't want to do that, or there's pressure to have to book the clients and make sales and all of that, and you really don't want that extra pressure when you're retired, especially. You want it to be fun. So what do you actually do, and what are the fun things about the job?
So I will say that that the multi-level marketing or network sales has really gotten a bad rap, and for a lot of good reasons, because there's a lot of people that approach it in the wrong way. There are a lot of companies that don't know any better and have been doing it the same way for so many years. And that's what I love about Limelife by Alcone, because they are really approaching it from a different way, that this is really something that can be a business with integrity. It can be a business that is really for anyone, and you can have fun and actually make some money while you're doing that. So, and there, really the pressure is really on you, what you want to put the pressure on. There, obviously, any kind of business that would involve some kind of sales is going to require you to make a sale to make money, but it's so much bigger than that. It's not that. What it is really just sharing the top of the line products, literally top of the line products, sharing them either virtually or in person, in whatever fashion works for you. That's what the beauty of it is. So it's not, you have to have a party with 12 people every week or you're going to be kicked out of the company kind of thing. It is, you do the business how you want to do it. That's what is so cool about this form, is that you have the freedom to do it how you want to do it. And if you want to just be involved a little bit, or you want to just get a discount on products or something, it's not, we say it's not your mama's direct sales company.
Yeah.
That's kind of our little joke on it, but we are, our CEO is just total about integrity about the whole business, and there's no shady practices, there's no tricking people into trying to do this or that. And it's really just a warm, welcoming, let's uplift and empower women. That is really what it's about.
Yeah, I love that. I certainly love that. And what do you do virtually? Because I suppose with COVID, many businesses have been affected, haven't they? And of course, if you were in a situation where you were doing a consultation or even a group workshop physically, that would have had to change with COVID. So you would have gone virtually. I think you mentioned that's an option as well. What do you do in a virtual?
Yes, it is. And so basically, we can do it through a consultation through Zoom, or we can do it through, Messenger. There's a chat feature there. And we just will go through some questions. I have samples that I can provide to people for trying first if they would like. And we just kind of basically go through a series of either skincare or makeup tips. It's really a lot of fun, and to kind of play along with what you have. And I can show you tips with what you have, or, what we have available that might supplement what you have. I've also done some little relaxation, de-stressing little topic sometimes where we will do a little bit of meditation and just kind of talk about the importance of self-care and that sort of thing too. So it's worked out pretty well. I mean, we've all had to adapt because of COVID, right?
And actually it sounds, as you say, it's an holistic approach. It's just not skincare and makeup, is it? It's more all-encompassing in, as you say, empowering women and to be women who we feel comfortable and happy being, and that's just wonderful. So before we go, I wanted to ask you a question that I ask all of my guests, and I'm sure that you'll be able to give me your thoughts on this. What does being a woman living well after 50 mean to you?
So for me, aside from the fact that I'm retired, so just to think more, I think in general terms, is that, and I kind of touched on that, you know, we have so much wisdom that we have acquired over our years, so much experience, some of it showing on our face, right? But we can use that to live better lives. We also, I think, as we age, we can allow ourselves to have more freedom to really be us. We don't feel so drawn to becoming somebody that we're not, just to you know, prove a point, or to, you know, make somebody feel better, or to try to be somebody that we're not. We're a lot more comfortable in our own skin. Sometimes maybe not quite so much looking in the mirror, like we said, but, you know, generally speaking, we're just, I think, so much more comfortable with us. And I think that those that aren't there yet don't realize that, but once we get there, we do realize that.
Yeah.
And it's
yeah.
a great feeling.
Well, I have to admit, you know, when I turned 60, I think, I mean, I've never looked at myself as an age, because I don't live that way. I just, if I want to do something, I go and do it. And I don't think, oh, I'm a bit too old for that or whatever. I just go and do it. But I think that once you reach 60, you do really come into your own. And I think a lot of it is to do with the confidence, and, as you say, the wisdom, that we suddenly realize what we have. And you wish you probably knew that about 20 years ago. But I mean, I'm trying new things all the time, and I'm in my 60s now. I've just started a podcast, and I think you're more inclined to give things a go and really try to achieve your dreams, maybe because you realize that you're coming, you know, you're going into the sun, what are we calling it, the autumn of life perhaps, or they talk about seasons of life, but, you know, we do have more years behind us than ahead, so we have to seize the day. And I think that women like yourself, and hope, and I will put myself in that category too, we are showing other women that you can do what you put your mind to, and that you are capable of doing whatever you want to do, and you don't have to be held back by your own limiting beliefs. And I think that you're a wonderful example of that. So, and what I love is that you are sharing all of that with women to help them feel better about themselves, and that's something that I like to do as well. So we are kindred spirits in that way.
We definitely are. And I think it's so important. I mean, it's women uplifting women. It just really doesn't get any better.
No, that's exactly right. Well, look, it's been lovely chatting to you today, Gina. And as I mentioned earlier in the show, you are going to be a regular on the podcast, and I'm really looking forward to that, because there's so many areas we can talk about, and I'm sure that the listeners will be interested in hearing more. And to the listeners, I hope that you have enjoyed the topic today. And don't forget to pop over and visit Gina. I'll be leaving the links to all her website, social media, in the comments section below. So pop over and say hello to her and see the good work that she's doing. And if you've enjoyed this episode today, please feel free to leave me a comment and a review. Share it with a friend who may feel get some benefit out of listening to what we've talked about today, and also subscribe to the channel so that you never miss a conversation. And until next time, thanks for joining us, and don't forget to embrace life and to live life every day. Thanks, Gina.
Thank you so much, Sue, for having me, and I'm so looking forward to our next episode.
Me too. Have a lovely day, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.
Goodbye, everyone.